Most wide shoes solve one problem but create another. They give you space in the toes, but then the heel slips, the midfoot is sloppy, or the shoe becomes too unstable for walking all day. So in this video, I'll show you the best shoes for genuinely wide feet, the best options if you only need a wider toe box, the best wide stability shoes, and the best choices for flat feet. After the second shoe, I'll show you a simple way to measure your foot so you know whether you need a standard wide shoe, an extra wide shoe, or just a wider toe box. So the first shoe up is the Brooks Ghost Max 3. It's probably the safest all-round option. It's also one of my favourite shoes that I recommend for people for walking and standing all day. Mainly because it's got a really wide platform underneath your foot, increasing the amount of contact that you have with the ground, making the shoe much more stable without putting up some intrusive arch support. It also has very balanced cushioning so you don't sink into it too much, but it's not too firm either, so it hits that sweet spot really nicely. Then on top of the shoe, you've got a wide fit throughout the whole length of the shoe, and you've got lots of volume in terms of height in the toe box, and for that reason it makes it one of the most orthotic friendly shoes on the market. So if you're someone who has a genuinely wide foot from heel to toe, this is going to be an excellent option. If you're someone who wears orthotics, or you just want a genuinely stable shoe for walking and standing all day, this is the perfect option. However, if you don't need such a broad, clunky shoe, well then we've got the Topo Aura. Now this is a relatively unique shoe provided by Topo, who's a lesser known brand, but provide really premium quality shoes. There's two key things that you need to know about this shoe. One is it provides stability through the Y frame. So you can see that Y shape underneath the shoe, here and along the inside. What that does is provide a form of stability similar to what we'll discuss in the Hoka shoes without pushing up into the arch. So it's a more modern form of stability that just tries to guide your foot and keep it centered through the shoe as you move. So it feels really stable even though it's got quite soft and balanced cushioning. And this is a shoe designed specifically for those of you who have a broader forefoot but a narrower heel. It does an excellent job of providing one of the best toe boxes on the market, so lots of space for your toes to splay, but your foot doesn't move around inside the shoe like some of you might find if you size up a shoe or get an extra wide shoe, that it just doesn't satisfy the lockdown in the midfoot and the heel. Well, this shoe has got you covered, and while it only comes in a normal fit, as the Brooks comes in a normal wide and extra wide, it is something to note that if you have a larger foot it may not work for you. But most of the time we see these in women with narrow heels and bunions or wider forefeet that just need that extra space in there. So an excellent stability option for those of you who need it. Now everybody knows the length of their feet, but how many of you know the true width of your foot? Because this is one of the most important factors when it comes to discomfort, blistering or forming calluses in the shoe. So place two pieces of paper on the floor, place one foot on one, stand up so you're weight bearing, trace your pencil around the outside of your foot. Then all you have to do is measure from your heel to your longest toe, and that gives you the length. Then find the two widest points of your foot on the piece of paper, take a little note either side and measure the width from side to side. And we'll put a link in the description below so that you know which centimeter length equates to what width size that you should be. Then the other thing to keep in mind is the heel much narrower than the forefoot? That's a sign that you might need a shoe like the Topo or the Altra. Or is your foot as broad at the heel as it is at the forefoot? That's a sign that you might just need a genuinely broad shoe. So the Gaviota or the Brooks will cover you for this. So then back to our third recommendation. We have the Altra Experience Flow 3, one of my favourite shoes to be released this year. It does an excellent job because it's a lightweight shoe, really nice and flexible, encourages a natural movement of your foot, has relatively balanced cushioning, and has a nice mix because you can feel the contact with the ground, which increases the stability of the shoe but provides enough protection that you can wear it for hours and hours at a time. Now, similar to the Topo, Altra do a terrific job of providing an anatomical toe box with a great lockdown on the midfoot and on the heel. It is a classic neutral shoe, so those of you who need a bit more stability on a similar profile of shoe, you might look towards the Aura. If you just want a natural feeling shoe underneath your foot, well then the Experience Flow 3 does an excellent job. Not ideal for those of you with a higher instep because it has quite a tight lockdown on the midfoot, and for those of you who need some more pronation control options, this isn't going to work well for you. Another final caveat to this type of shoe is if you're used to a max cushion shoe, it's important to transition down slowly to a more minimalist shoe. But otherwise, for the majority of the population, it should just be super comfortable as soon as you slip this one on. Then we have the Mount to Coast C1. one of our most surprising shoes that we've tried on this year. It's a lesser known brand from Hong Kong, but they've made some really big inroads in the walking and running shoe industry. A couple of reasons for that. One is it has a nice gentle rocker to help with your walking. It has a mixed blend midsole, which means there's two types of cushioning in the midsole, one that's really soft and another one that's relatively firm. So it gives you a nice balance of spring, but keeps you nice and stable. Thanks to the nice broad base underneath your foot, again increasing the contact that you have with the ground. Now on top of the shoe, it's quite interesting for two reasons. One is the dual lacing system. So if you have a slightly wider forefoot, you can keep it nice and loose at the bottom. Or if you have a narrow foot in the midfoot and the heel, you can lock that up to two different types of lacing systems, so you feel really secure and snug in the shoe. Now this is wide from the heel to the midfoot, but then it tapers a little bit in the forefoot. So those of you with a higher instep, for instance, or with a broader foot towards the midfoot, you're going to prefer this option. However, if you don't like a very tapered shoe at the very top, then this isn't ideal. So I've added this as it's completely contrasting to the other shoes that we're going to talk about. It's only available in a normal width at the minute, but a really interesting shoe overall. Then we have the Hoka Gaviota 6. Now the Gaviota 5 was one of the best options on the market when it came to max stability. It's also the best toe box that Hoka have ever produced. The Gaviota 6 is very similar in terms of its profile, but the cushioning is different and the fit is just slightly different as well. First of all, it's a max cushion shoe, as you can see, but the cushioning is a lot firmer than you expect. And that's because they changed the stability system within the shoe. It's still a H-frame support system, but it's more rigid than what we saw in the Gaviota 5. Therefore, it provides more stability and more structure to the shoe. So you're still getting that all-day comfort that you associate with Hoka. However, it's a little bit firmer underfoot, increasing the amount of stability within the shoe. Then on top of the shoe, a relatively wide fit in the heel and the midfoot, and then a wider toe box than what we see in any of the other Hoka models out at the moment. The other thing about this shoe is it's available in a normal, wide and extra wide, so it covers every type of foot that you can think of. And because of the snug lockdown on the midfoot and the heel, then it means that if you've got a narrow midfoot but you've got a wider forefoot, it covers that option as well. It provides lots of stability whether you're walking or running for long periods of time, or you can use it as a shoe for standing if you're someone that works in hospitality, you're a teacher and you stand all day for work. This is going to be an excellent option for you. So a wide range of shoes for you to choose from depending on what type of foot you have. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions on these or any other shoes that you've tried for wide feet. Otherwise, we've got links to all the shoes in the description, and if you watch the channel regularly but you haven't subscribed, please consider it as the single thing you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to the channel.